Hello, I'm Julie from the Techie Teacher, and today I am really excited to talk to you about using the MaKey-MaKey in the classroom. I tried to do a Facebook Live on this on Friday afternoon, but Facebook was not having it. I attempted 2 different times and I got through 5 minutes worth, but each time it would cut me off. So like any teacher does, you have to adapt. So this is a pre-recording. I just wanted to get this information out there to you all. So thank you for being patient. Let's get started. First off, MaKey-MaKey is not paying me to do this Facebook Live. I just truly believe in this tool. It's incredible what it can do in the classroom and with students. And the link in this post will take you to a blog post that I published all about the information that I'm going to share here. So any resources that I mention, any links that I talk about, you can go to that post and grab whatever you need. Also, at the end of the post is a raffle copter where you can enter to win a MaKey-MaKey. The company is letting me give one away to one of you. It's about a $50 value, so great prize. So when this is over, head over there and enter if you haven't had a chance to do so already. All right, so what is a MaKey-MaKey? It, in a nutshell, is a little invention kit where you can take everyday objects and turn them into a touchpad that interacts with some sort of computer program that you have up. Perhaps it's one that you have created in Scratch, or maybe it's something that you found somewhere on the internet. The objects that you attach to the MaKey-MaKey turn into buttons that replace the basic keyboard or even the mouse. When people think of a MaKey-MaKey, I think a lot of people kind of get this image of the banana piano. It's really cool. You can tap the bananas and it will play the piano that's hooked up to the computer. And I see this a lot at tech conferences. And I also see a lot of student exhibits where students have created these really intricate controllers out of like cardboard boxes and other everyday items. And they're controlling like a banana piano, a Super Mario game, a Pac-Man game or whatnot. And I cringe because that is not what the MaKey-MaKey is all about in the classroom. Yes, it's really cool that students can engineer some sort of remote control and it teaches them cause and effect relationships and hooking up a circuit, but there's so much more that you can do with this, and you can truly integrate the curriculum and tie in academic topics with different projects that you start up in your classroom. And that's my goal today, is for us to work together to come up with lots of ideas with how we can get our students innovating while working in information that they're learning in the classroom. A lot of EdTech Facebook groups that I'm in, I see people say, you know, our school has purchased a bunch of these kits. I don't even know where to start. What do you do with them? How do you introduce them to your students? So I know there's a need for it, and I want to share with you what has been successful for me. Like anything else, this isn't the best way to do it, but it's something that I have found to work. So let me throw up here my Bobo lesson plans. And when a teacher invites me to their classroom and says, I want my students to learn how to use the MaKey-MaKey, I try to explain to them that it's a process, that personally I want them to understand the how and the why. Why are we using this thing? What is the purpose? It's not just a toy. You know, the students are becoming real inventors. So I like to set up 30 to 60 minute sessions with the class. If your class already knows how to code, you can skip day 3 and day 4 of this. This is for beginners, classes that have never had an introduction to coding. So day 1 is the best day. It's the hook day. Actually, no, it's not the best day. Day 5 is the best day, but day 1's super fun because it's the first time that the students see a MaKey-MaKey in action. So I like to help the teacher set up a couple of laptops in the classroom and hook up a MaKey-MaKey. We assemble it and we pull something up, and it's up to you with what you have on the computer. The MaKey-MaKey website has a bunch of free apps/websites that you can pull up. That's linked into my blog post, and there you can find that piano for the banana piano, bongos, Tetris, and a couple of other ideas to have your students manipulate using the objects from the MaKey-MaKey. I want to show you a video, I got special permission to show this to you, of a first grade teacher that I worked with a few years ago showing one of her students the MaKey-MaKey for the first time. They were working with the cardinal directions on a compass rose. I think this little guy was struggling a bit. And then I came in and we showed the kids the MaKey-MaKey and made interactive compass roses after the hook day. But here is the first day.
That you can make this dinosaur move by just touching a banana. Hold this in this hand.
Okay, she has just handed him what we call the ground chord. The ground chord is what is probably most important to the MaKey-MaKey. If you're not holding this, then the MaKey-MaKey will not work. It's connected to the earth of the MaKey-MaKey board, which I'm going to show you here in a little bit when we talk about how to set one up. So he's going to hold it with one hand, and the other hand, he's going to tap the bananas to make the interactive compass rose, which you can't see, it's on the computer screen, work.
Touch the banana. Okay, this is the top, this is the bottom. Touch the banana that is south. This is like a pretend compass rose. So this is north, east, where's south? Look at south. You just made him move by touching the banana. Oh!
So what's on the computer right now is a quick little program that we coded using Scratch, and I'm going to talk about Scratch here in a little bit. It was super easy to set up, and like I said, later on, after all of the first graders saw the MaKey-MaKey, we taught them how they could invent their own interactive compass rose, and they hooked up their own objects, like what you see here, the bananas, and we'll also talk about different materials that you can use. Notice what this little boy says at the very end.
You're killing me with the compass rose. South. South. Oh. Is that cool?
How does it do that?
I don't know.
He said, how does it do that? And that is why this is called the hook day. Because then you can say, oh, well, do you want to learn how? We're going to learn this in day 2. And then it transfers the learning to day 2. So we got them. Now we're going to take them a step further. So day 2, how-to day. I typically like for the class to be split up into small groups. If you only have one MaKey-MaKey in your classroom, then just call students back, like 4 at a time. Each group has a MaKey-MaKey and a laptop. And I challenge the groups to find some sort of game, as long as it's school appropriate, that can only be controlled using the 4 arrows on a keyboard. It will literally blow your mind how quickly these kids can pull up a game that uses only the 4 arrows on the keyboard. Even first graders. First graders taught me some games that I've linked into this blog post to help you in case some of the kids cannot think up games, but I don't think that's the case. So they have this game set up on their computer. You can only manipulate the character or whatever it's having you doing using the 4 arrows. And then you teach the kids how to set up the MaKey-MaKey. And I want to show you how to do that. I filmed myself setting one up. It's not super professional because here I am on a white towel, but I wanted to be outside for the lighting. So when you have a MaKey-MaKey box and you start unwrapping it, you'll find several things. You'll find a set of directions, some little stickers, the actual MaKey-MaKey keyboard that's in a plastic baggie. It looks a lot like a Nintendo controller. You have 6 white wires, a bunch of alligator clips that love to get nice and tangled. The colors do not matter with the alligator clips. They are all the same, so it does not matter what color the students grab. And then you have the USB cable that you use to hook the MaKey-MaKey up to the computer. The first thing I always do for myself, so I remember, and for the students, is to teach them to hook one of the wires up to the earth. That is the ground of the MaKey-MaKey. They call it earth. I call it grounding because you have to stay grounded. This is what creates the circuit for the MaKey-MaKey. You can attach that alligator clip to any of those little holes on the very bottom. It doesn't matter where they are as long as they're attached to 2 of those circles. That is what the student holds with the other hand as they're touching different objects. There are many people that have created really intricate grounding mechanisms. Like you can make a grounding bracelet out of tinfoil. I've seen people make helmets, all sorts of things. So you can get really creative with that. Afterwards, you're going to get 4 alligator clips because this is going to correspond to the 4 arrows on the keyboard that operate the game. And you're going to take each alligator clip and attach it to one of the arrows on the MaKey-MaKey board, or one of the directions, whatever you want to call them. The old MaKey-MaKey kits had really hard alligator clips for the students to pinch, but I just ordered this kit a month ago, so the newer ones, thank you MaKey-MaKey, they have made it a lot easier to pinch. It's not as hard. And then you hook the MaKey-MaKey up by plugging it in the top and then taking the USB cable and plugging it into the computer. Then you'll be ready to take the other end of the alligator clips and connect them to objects that conduct, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. I want to show you, though, the next step to the MaKey-MaKey. I do not touch the white wires in the 5-day introductory program that I have, but this is what they're used for. When you flip the board over, I need to take out a wire first. When you flip the board over, there are these little holes and these little black rectangles, and you can see I'm plugging one in. To the side there are different letters. The left-hand side are different letters of the keyboard, and then the right-hand side are arrows to move a mouse. So there, this wire corresponds with the letter A. So anytime I touch this wire, which I'm going to hook an alligator clip up to, so the alligator clip that's touched to this wire, it will operate the letter A on the keyboard. But like I said, for these 5 days, I do not use the white wires. It's just the front part of the MaKey-MaKey because we're doing this for beginners, remember. All right. So after you have that set up, then you have the kids hook the other end of the 4 alligator clips up to some sort of material that's a conductor. Here are some things that people have used in the past that work: fruit, vegetables, pencil lead, water or anything wet, Play-Doh, aluminum foil, electrical tape, coins, plants, soda cans, you name it. If it's a conductor, it will make the MaKey-MaKey work. I like to put these different materials out, but I also like to throw in things that are not conductors. So it's kind of like trial and error for the kids, and you can talk in or have some sort of discussion about what is a conductor, what's the purpose of it, and they really get into it. They love hooking up different things and testing them out. So then that day 2, they attempt to play their game using just the MaKey-MaKey. So now day 3, this is for classes that have never seen coding before. They don't even know what it is. I always like to use code.org's free hour of code programs. They have a bunch of different ones to introduce students and teachers to how to code. This is how I learned. I did a couple of the hour of code programs by myself, and it just walks you through the basics of block coding, and it increases with difficulty as you go through the hour of code. It takes some kids an hour, some kids fly through it. You can just have those who fly through it pick another one of the programs. They have all different ones. And most likely your students will go home and continue on with the other programs they didn't get to during school. And then they come back for day 4 really knowing how to code. It's amazing. So day 4, I transfer the learning from code.org over to the Scratch program, which is a free website. Students do have to create their own account. And I use these Scratch cards that the Scratch website has for free. Print them out, the PDFs. You can make them into cards. And it walks kids through different things that they can do with sprites. Sprites are what Scratch calls the little characters. And it teaches them the foundations of Scratch, and they have a ball with this. And if you, the instructor, are not really familiar with coding, these are great. They're free. The link to these cards are in my blog post, so be sure to go grab those. And then day 4, for Scratch Day, they just kind of experiment, and then some students start creating their own program, animation, digital story, whatever. And then day 5 is the invention day, where they get a MaKey-MaKey because day 3 and day 4 are just coding. No MaKey-MaKey is involved. And they have to code some sort of animation, digital story, game, recording, whatever, to go along with a topic that you give them. And this is where I really want to kind of get down and dirty with you guys today. Things that we could bring into the classroom, like how we can use the MaKey-MaKey with what we're teaching at school. So this day is really up to you and your students with how you want to carry on. But here are some things I've done in the past. And then I want to talk about some things that I've seen other people do. The MaKey-MaKey Facebook page, Twitter account, and Instagram all have fabulous ideas from educators all around the world. I am constantly learning something new every day that you can do with this kit. And if you're a teacher that uses this often, I would love it if you could tell us in the comments below how you use it with your students. Give us blog posts if you have any images, anything that you can link in. I would love to learn from you. So here we go. Some things that I've done. Okay, the interactive compass rose, like you saw in the video, and this was first grade. And you can see in this picture, these girls are using Scratch to code the interactive compass rose. They were making a sprite or a character move up, down, left, and right based off of the arrows on the keyboard, the 4 arrows. Remember, we're keeping with just 4 arrows for these 5 days because this is the beginner's crash course. So when your students are doing their invention day, you need to remind them you're coding something that only uses those 4 arrows. Now, the students who really get this and want to kind of take it to the next level, if you're willing, let them go and explore and see what they come up with and see if they can make the MaKey-MaKey work with what they create. Okay, so that was one. Let's see. The next one, counting coins. You can hook up the US coins or any other coins to the MaKey-MaKey, and when students touch them, you could have them program something in Scratch where it says when they touch the penny, they hear a recording of their voice saying, "This is a penny. A penny is worth 1 cent." Or take it a step further. In this picture over here, you can see that this is a Scratch program of a cash register. And my boss from last year, John Worsing, created this in Scratch, and he coded it so when students press a coin, the cash register adds it up. So when he tapped the dime, the cash register displayed 10 cents. Then when you tapped the penny, it would then say 11 cents. So great lesson for counting money. What I like about Scratch is you can search within the website and find other programs that people have already made and click a remix button, and the remix will send that program to your Scratch account. So then you have it there. You, the teacher, can learn from whatever was programmed and either use it or go from there. So that is a lesson that I did where the students remixed the cash register program, and then we were just working with the money because I think we were working in kindergarten at that point, so they hadn't learned how to code. But, you know, take it to the next level, whatever you want to do. All right, this is one of my favorite ones, investigating pitch. I worked with a group of 5th graders who were in the midst of their sound unit, and their teacher wanted them to investigate pitch. So we used the MaKey-MaKey to make a water piano, and I have an approved video to show you guys. Go. And you can see here in the Scratch program, they created it so that mallet is going across the glasses to kind of mimic banging a glass that has that amount of water in it and what kind of pitch it would make. So that was a super fun lesson. Here's another one. Coding affixes. Remember, pencil lead was one of the things that would make the MaKey-MaKey work. It's a conductor. So we handed students a long word that contained a prefix, of course a root word, and a suffix. And they took a pencil and went back and forth to create like a thick amount of lead. and created these like circular buttons near the affix of the word. I think I have a picture to show you. Yeah, here I am. And you can see that the line of lead is going up to rest near what affix they were talking about. So they had 3 lines with little buttons at the top, but the buttons were just the pencil lead. So when they tapped the pencil lead holding the ground chord of the MaKey-MaKey, they programmed Scratch to either walk them through a game, talk about the prefix, root word, suffix, whatever they wanted. It was pretty cool. So students could draw diagrams using pencils. And I know MaKey-MaKey has special pencils for that, but any pencil works in my experience. This was fun. We took a Christmas tree and Christmas tree balls and wrapped them in tin foil and hung them on a tree, and students wrote words that were either synonyms or antonyms and put them on the ornaments. And they coded a program to match with the MaKey-MaKey, and when someone came over to the tree, they were challenged to only touch the ornaments that had a set of synonyms or had a set of antonyms, and the computer told them if they were correct or not. So you can get really creative with this. Let's see, what else do I have? Okay. Oh goodness, that got really small. So this was at one of our technology conferences with the amazing team I worked with in Virginia. And what they did was they created a controller on the floor. So rather than touching objects with your feet, you could control whatever was on the computer screen. So those arrows were made from, I think, aluminum foil and electrical tape. This would be fun to do for like coordinate planes, making a sprite move to a certain part of coordinate planes. Or I know one of my coworkers did a transformation lesson where they made the sprite slide, flip, or turn. So that would be great for geometry. And then like any lesson that you do, talking about circuits is what the MaKey-MaKey is all about. And what's really fun is having the class create a circuit with all of their bodies. So if they are, as long as they're touching somebody's skin or holding their hand, and of course you'll get the, ew, this is gross, but that's what makes this activity so fun for the teacher. As long as they're holding hands and they are connected, the person who's holding that ground chord, they can go and they can operate the MaKey-MaKey with whatever objects they touch. And then you always have someone let go and they'll see that it won't work because the circuit has been broken. So that's super fun. I've seen people make interactive maps, interactive posters, interactive murals outside of the classroom. I've seen people hook the MaKey-MaKey up to a plant, and students would have to touch parts of the plant, like the roots, the stem, and the leaf, and it would do something with whatever they programmed in Scratch. Having sprites travel across a number line, even decimals. I know I worked with someone and we did a lesson on decimals on a number line. One of my coworkers from a few years ago did a main idea and detail lesson where the kids created paper tables, and when they tapped the top of the table, which was the main part of the table, the Scratch program did something, and then when they touched the supporting legs, it talked about the details of the story or the passage, whatever they read. And many of these lessons, you can tie in the scientific method, cause and effect relationships, electrons flowing, all sorts of things. So the possibilities are endless. And like I said, if you go to any of the MaKey-MaKey's social media, you will be overwhelmed with the things that people are doing. And it took me seeing what other educators were doing with the MaKey-MaKey a couple of times before I started coming up with ideas for myself. So I hope you gained a little bit more insight on A, how this thing works, and B, maybe you're coming up with something different that has not been invented yet that you could share with the world. How are you going to use the MaKey-MaKey with your students? And like I said, I would love to know. Tell us what you're thinking in the comments. Ask questions, and let's all work together and really make this thing worthwhile in the classroom. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, head over to my blog post and enter to win a MaKey-MaKey. We will be choosing a winner at random next Friday, so you have a little less than a week. All right, have a great weekend.